is like nearly a year down the line. We just want to reassure fans where we are and what's been going on, and what's
we just want them to feel that the club is in good hands again now, that financially we've sorted out the problems from previous disasters. We're not going to use that, but we just want everyone to know that we're back on an even keel. It's, we're debt free again. We've got a manager who's all over this like a rash, put a good side together, done it within the constraints of an agreed budget, because we've set him a budget that he has agreed to. We've just had a great conversation with him now. I mean, he's as acutely aware as we are of the fact that this club has got to live well within its means after the runaway expenditure of the last couple of years. So, and I think it was, I said to Paul, I thought it'd be a good idea, just so the fans know that that's where we are. The buzz in the town is pretty good. Neil, you live in the town, you know as well as I do that there's an expectation that this year is going to be very, very good, and we just thought that this is a great time for, thanks to Paul pulling it all together. We've got a great team working underneath him. We've got a great team working underneath Bobby. Get along, support it. Let's get the club back to where we want it to be. So in those sort of general terms, that's what we want to get across to.
We're now getting back into a position where we're able to pick up some of the things that we've had to put alongside, i.e. the community, the youth, all of that. We're starting to able to re-pick some of that up. We had a great meet with the college the other week about reopening up some. Now the old wounds are healed on that one. We've got a chance now that we can start to potentially do some work with them. We've set up a new CIC company, and Ralph has, to be fair, which is going to be looking at our community side. We've obviously restructured our under 23s with Craig and Andy, and Andy is getting on board with some of our match day stuff here as well, with the mascot packages and the kids, and we're trying to build more of a inclusive feel to everything. And we're hoping that to roll things out over the season that will demonstrate that, because now we're in a position where we can look a little bit further ahead than just the next week.
The firefighting of last year, which was just basically living week to week really, and hoping that we were going to gain enough money that the previous week to pay the wages the following week. It was really that sort of. So that's the message we want to get across, that great team under Paul, great team under Bobby, support them.
Well, chaps, thanks for sparing the time to speak to us this afternoon. Obviously, it's been almost 12 months since you guys came in to instruct pretty much emergency financial works to the club, and I gather you want to address the fans and tell them whereabouts you are in terms of that recovery process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was perfectly said in the question. We are nearly 12 months on from what was some pretty dark days that the football club faced, and we're 12 months on, and we're in a much healthier, stronger position, probably better than we perhaps thought we might well have been at that time. So, looking forward, so I think we're feeling a lot more confident about the future and a lot more settled, I think.
Yes, and I think that's right. It's quite important for the fan base to know that the club is now debt free. We've managed to pay off all of the outstanding liabilities that we inherited really last August. We have some money in the bank thanks to some endeavours that we've been through. We had a quite successful patrons draw, and we've done other bits and pieces. We've had a very good take up on our season ticket sales this year, which we've been able to retain, which we didn't do last year. And we have set Bobby a healthy budget that we think the club can definitely afford. And Paul and Bobby, I know, have worked very carefully within the constraints of that budget. We've just had a meeting with Bobby this evening, and he is more than happy with what we've given him. and he has worked a very, very good, what we think is a very good working squad in place within the constraints of that budget. So from my side of it, on a financial side, we just head off into the season in a massively better place than we were 12 months ago. I think thanks to Paul's put together a very good management team off the pitch. You know, we've got some good guys working with us now, and I know that he's put together, with him and Bobby have put together a good side on the pitch, and I think now's the time for the people at Weymouth to get back supporting the club, and then to get it back to where we want it to be.
I think that's it. Now we've done what we can do, which is to bring an even keel and a sense of structure and purpose, and whilst we continue to look to evolve the business side of the club and the structure going forward, we now need the fans to come out and play their part by getting behind Bobby and the team and doing their bit, which they've always continued to do. But there's a real sense of excitement around the town, and we really hope that transfers to people coming in to watch the team and getting behind the team. Let's say we are a lot more clearer in our thinking about what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to achieve it. And we've this summer actually been able to put some money into things physically into the ground that needed doing, which obviously haven't been touched for years. So the whole thing is sort of feels like it's coming back to life, and we're about to start this new journey. So it's a really exciting time for people to get involved, and that's what we're hoping. There's been lots of talk about our shirts this year, and someone asked me, well, why it's really out there, it's really different, it's quite provocative. Well, that's the point. We're trying to show this new modern way of thinking going forward that does make people sit up and take notice of us. That's what we're trying to achieve here, that we're being that more forward thinking and want to be inclusive of everybody and get back into the community, and these are all small steps to fulfilling that journey. So there's some good times ahead. I really believe that, and so Simon says we're really pleased with what Bobby's put together in the summer. He's worked relentlessly all over the summer to get it there, and it will take time to bed in. Every football club will be feeling the same, and everybody will want to be off on a positive trajectory, and we're gonna we've got our own plans and visions of where we'd like to go on and off.
As you mentioned, Simon, about the debt, presumably the club is in a much more secure and healthier position.
Yes, as we said earlier, we are now debt-free. We've cleared the backlog that we inherited this time last year. We have a working bit of capital now, quite a bit of liquidity, which is going to help us into the season. So a fantastically better financial position this year than last year, and that can only be helped by people coming through the doors now and supporting us and making that financial balance even healthier. I can give you a cast iron guarantee that Paul and myself will be looking after the finances of this club like there is no tomorrow. We are absolutely committed to living within our means, so that's where we are.
It's good to hear. And of course, people will turn their attentions to the playing budget as well. And last season, obviously, Bobby had to let some players go to balance the books. Don't think that's a secret. So I guess in those terms, will he have more money available to him mid-season if he wishes to make changes to the playing budget?
I think the way that we will work, the budget will be far more structured out on a week-to-week basis. He's got figures to work against, and clearly if he accrues money through that period, then there'll be money for him to strengthen or add to if he needs to. It will very much depend on how the business runs. If the business is generating more income and we feel able to and justifiable to add money to his budget, then why would we? But if we can't, we won't. And Bobby's very comfortable with that. Let's say we've set out some very specific figures for him for the season that he needs to work within, and he's very aware of those and comfortable working with them. So it will very much need to be on a week by week basis and a month to month how we navigate our way through the season.
When we did our budget, we looked at our worst case scenario on cup runs. We haven't budgeted for winning the FA Cup or anything like that. We've taken a budget that we may exit in the first round, but if we have a run like we did last year, I mean the Wimbledon game was a financial godsend to us as a club, then there will be a bit of manoeuvrability within that budget to increase if Bobby decides that he needs a little bit more spent on it. If we're successful, there'll be a little bit of extra. There is wheel room.
Yeah. And obviously schemes like the patrons draw and oily rag have been hugely beneficial, haven't they?
Well, we sat in that fans forum, crisis meeting, whatever you'd like to phrase it was, last August, and one of the things I said to the people in the room that night was, we need your ideas to raise money. We were desperate to avoid being there with the begging bowl. It didn't feel right to do that. The club was in a situation through its own making, and we needed to be find our way out of it. And we asked people to come up with schemes, but not just come up with schemes, but be prepared to undertake them alongside us and run with them. And the oily rag is a fantastic example of that, and just goes from strength to strength. Very simply done, but very well organised and very well run. And yeah, the more things that we have like that, the better. We're gradually, we've renovated through the club over the summer, with bar and sea. We're gradually picking up one or two more functions and events. We need to have revenue streams that don't just solely rely on a match day, and we're gradually starting to do that. And they are going to be massively important as we go forward.
Could you give the fans a little bit more on an idea of those in terms of details?
Well, one of our fellow directors, Ralph Ricardo, is busily at the moment working on a new company, the CIC company, which is going to be very much based upon going into the community and building that aspect of the club. We have had some very early stage preliminary chats with the college about how that might look, and working with them. That's a relationship we are very painfully aware that we will only get one opportunity to get right after the history of that. So we're taking our time to gradually build bits and pieces. We're talking with another individual as well about whether he may become almost our community officer who's got previous experience of those roles within the Football League, about how he might become to start on a very small basis to start with, but gradually growing as we build up our community projects. But we are very aware that if we're going to increase our fan base here, that we need to encourage our community in, and often the way to do that is through our younger fans, because we need to build that next generation of Weymouth fans who aren't disillusioned with the club and don't remember necessarily the bad days or the darker days. We want to give them sort of fresh hope, but you've got to have things that people want to get involved in and come. So we're desperately trying to do that, and that project is going to be one of our main focuses this year. We're looking at doing other different events throughout the year with ex-players and charity days and school days, and we've already started some work on our non-league day when we host Havant. We've already spoke to Havant. We've started to incorporate back in our walking football team, and Havant are going to bring their walking football team for the day, and that game's going to happen on the pitch, which is just trying to do some different things that will start to bring all demographics of the town back into wanting to be a central part of what we're trying to do.
We might get a game there, Paul.
You might, I'm good for nothing.
So it just goes back to that idea of inclusivity and sort of almost re-engaging with the town.
It is, like with the patrons draw, it was quite refreshing to see that over 50 businesses were prepared to invest into the club, without any qualms at all. They felt quite happy with Paul at the helm, that things had turned a corner, and we had a pretty good response to that patrons draw, and let's hope that we have a good season this year and we just build on that confidence that appears to be regenerating itself in the fan base and local businesses, so they're happy to support, sponsor, get involved with, just work together to take us for where we want to go, to where we feel we need to be. So.
And it's good, and we brought some fresh partners in this year in Consul, and Peter Marsden, and Prosper Tech. So we brought new companies as well that haven't worked with us before, which is great. But we were painfully aware that of this divide that was there between us and some of the more local companies, and felt pushed away. And Lane House obviously on the front of the shirt this year and going to be on one of the stands. That's great. You can't get much more local to us than them. So we've been able to gradually rebuild those relationships, and building those relationships is going to be very important if we're going to do anything going forward. We need to have the backing of the companies within the town as well as our supporters. So it's making sure we build the whole process, but on solid foundations, which is, I think, where we are now. We are starting to build away from ground zero, if you like, in a positive way, but it will be brick by brick.
And I gather the fans will have a chance to put their questions to you after the game on Saturday. Yeah,
we will hold a fans forum here. I've been very clear since I came in that transparency was important. Not everything can we discuss, and I know there's things that fans would like to know, just physically can't pass that information on, but we have said that we would look to do those. It's a great chance to do it. The playing squad will be here in full. Bobby's management team, I'll be here myself, I don't know if you're here as well. We'll be here. It's a chance for people to come and ask questions. Not everybody's seen pre-season, and it's just a good opportunity for everyone to get together, but it's about us showing this transparency as well that we've alluded to over the last year.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, chaps?
No, not really. Just looking forward really with optimism to a good season on and off the pitch, and however it goes, it's going to be a lot easier than it was last year. That's pretty certain.
There'll be quite so many sleepless nights. But for me that's it. And please get down and support the Terriers as we go into the season, and come and be part of what we're trying to build.
Okay, Paul and Simon, thank you very much for your time.